So greetings everyone from Privacy Quest Village and attending this AI summit that we call the Privacy Quest Festival for ordinary people, but we invite the greatest minds in the AI landscape that could change the course of the race of AGI between the factions of AI apocalypse and AI fundamentalist. We gathered this secret summit, and today Aldo is here with us, and he came all the way from Switzerland, where they are building with his startup Syntheticus. Did I pronounce it right? I was trying my best. Perfect. To create cutting-edge synthetic data, and as agents who have been deployed on this battle for AI operation, this is your chance to understand and bring your faction the final trends in the synthetic data landscape. Because in the battle for AI, privacy engineering and privacy enhancing technologies are weapons for both factions. And this is how we try to bridge AI and the privacy landscape, as what we're doing with the Privacy Quest already, with the privacy engineering part, but also the AI governance part.
No, I mean,
you haven't already.
I haven't. Just you can randomly pick, stick me in one.
I can.
You are more than welcome in fundamentalist teams.
But that's a losing team, Steve. So you need to consider twice, right, Aldo?
Nah, I would also go to the fundamentalist.
Nice. All right.
Here we go. Here we go.
Heating up at the Privacy Quest Village.
I actually think it's good to put me on what you think is the losing team. I have this weird talent for being able to break things.
No.
So
then go to fundamentalist, Steve, please. So each week we will have one fireside chat, one gaming night, and one Zoom session. And that Zoom session will be only for networking. And continue this for like 4 weeks period. And at the end, the faction members who have joined the most events and solved the most puzzles like we just discussed will win the Battle for AI team, this year's team. And they will all win a Privacy Quest mystery box that we have put together. And it will have like the board games that we have played during the festival. And as a gift to the winning faction members, there's this like cute award ceremony at the end. And starting with Aldo, we created this amazing collaboration with his startup and Privacy Quest. And Aldo helped me build this synthetic data quest, which was the latest quest. And one of my favorites, by the way, Aldo. Thank you for. Because I was like in the EU tour of Privacy Quest, there were lots of like gothic themes that I was exposed to, and that created that dark cult creating and resurrecting demons using synthetic data. So again, the story was dark, but it was interesting, and I learned a lot from that collaboration. And 2 weeks later, I asked him to join the festival because I knew that it would be also great. And their team and his experience around synthetic data, I think it's really valuable. And thank you, Aldo, for being here and offering your company's greatest assets to the factions during this fictional land of Privacy Quest Village. And yeah, so without further ado, the stage is yours. I think you can start.
Of course. So the thing is that we are from Switzerland, and we are the weapon dealers, right? Well, it's a good fit.
New world order, yeah.
No, it's not even so new because a lot of weapon trafficking, or at least the money that comes out of the weapon trafficking, probably a lot of it is going around here in Switzerland through our banking system.
Probably, yeah.
Not anymore, because we lost our banking secrecy a couple of years ago. Has been crashed. But before that, for sure. And it's not me saying it. It's the newspapers and the legal documents and the processes covering this or showing this and bringing this to the light. But anyway, so I am the weapon dealer, and the weapons that I sell are AI generated synthetic data, Gen AI powered. which can really be used and leveraged by both factions, by blue and by red. And maybe I'll start with some simple use cases on how the two factions could actually leverage synthetic data. So for the blue, which are the fundamentalists, yes, the fundamentalist. It's really according to our tagline that we have, which is built with Gen AI to supercharge AI. Really going on that line, that synthetic data is built with generative AI, which can be coming from very different sources of technologies, different families of technologies. It can start with statistic-based or mathematics-based approaches, where you come up with those generative models that then sample synthetic data, and then you can use it, up to what we're seeing right now with large language models or transformer-based approaches, what nowadays is called GPTs, generative pre-trained transformers. So there's like a range of ways, methods, and techniques on how to do that. And for the blue team, it's really about leveraging the synthetic data to supercharge AI. Why? Because on a global scale, we're on a global, but then again also on a smaller scale, we're facing a lot of challenges. So there are some challenges around real-world data. There are challenges around real-world data that actually hinder to supercharge AI and to bring it to the next level, to better train it, and really to make the next leap. So there are some challenges around accessibility. So as you probably know, given privacy regulations, given very, very deeply rooted normatives like the United Nations, like the fundamental rights and human privacy and all that, you're not, so the accessibility is really hard to get to the real world data that contains personal identifiable information or very sensitive information in that case. And so that accessibility is already hindering AI in a certain dimension. Then there's also like the availability. So scarcity is also a challenge. What we're seeing right now with the big foundation model players around the world is that they are called large language models because they have been trained on a very large corpus of data, and that large corpus of data has been coming from the internet. So they have been scraping all that internet down, up and down. And so they are now at the point where, well, there's no real world public data out there in the internet anymore that can be scraped, or the marginal utility is sort of decreasing. So they would need more internet data to be created every day than what they are actually getting. And so they are now at this cliff of data scarcity. So that the next point in the pipeline is, well, there's the enterprise or the enterprise data or the company data that is out there, that is still hidden, that is not being publicized, that is still behind or on premises, behind closed doors of the companies. So that's like the next step, which the big foundation model companies are already going into. So by telling companies, hey, this is the large language model, embed your enterprise data, your corpus of data, and then let's fine tune. So actually, it sounds very cool, it sounds very good, yeah, it's because they have this challenge, right? And so synthetic data kicks in as a solution to all that, to really be a painkiller of all those challenges, to supercharge AI. So that means that you can come up with synthetic data, with more synthetic data of high quality, with more synthetic data that makes sense of high quality, and that is also privacy preserving. So that is also safe on a very peculiar note. And so that's actually the way that the blue team can leverage this weapon to supercharge AI. And yeah, given that I'm also in the blue team, so we're firmly convinced that this weapon will, is being one of the three main pillars of the world that we live in within AI, which is like data, computation, and algorithms. This pillar is going to be fundamental, and it's going to be very detrimental in the next leap for supercharging AI. So that's like on the blue team note, and how that can be leveraged.
And blue team faction member Yağız is here with us. He's a representative of the fundamental AI faction. Any questions so far, sir, from your faction?
We can go on for now.
All right. Steve, any comments or questions from you? And you are in the AI apocalypse faction from now on, right? Like that's decided.
I don't have any comments or questions yet. Now you're putting, okay, so I'm going to be in the other team, not the one that was just described. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I might have questions after that.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Now the thing is, synthetic data dealer. That's a very good point. Now what we're also seeing is, I mean, data dealers. Man, that's a really dark. That's a really dark thing within the privacy enhanced technology, or within like the privacy engineering world. There are some very big companies that have come out of that are really trading and dealing data. Sometimes it's still original real world data. Sometimes they are pseudonymized or anonymized somehow. But yeah, it's a really a niche thing, very dark, very gray zone on who's actually selling and who's actually buying, and what that marketplace looks like. It's really interesting to follow. From time to time, there are news from companies that get busted, but still, it's just the ones that get busted, right? Just the ones that maybe didn't work along the rules somehow. But yeah, that's a very cool, that's a very interesting field, from a privacy engineering field, from a privacy legal paralegal field. Yeah. Anyway, let's go to the red team, the AI apocalypse.
Apocalypse faction, yes.
Yeah. And for them, I mean, being a very good dealer, I'm selling the same thing, just with another narrative, right? It's sort of, you know, the story of Mark Reich, one of the most famous commodity traders in the world, who then happened to build up this, like one of the biggest companies in the world, which is called Glencore, and commodity companies. And so the thing is that that the US had put on some embargoes on oil for South Africa and Iran and a couple of other nations. And what he then did was, through the corporation, which is well, here in Switzerland, so always behind the Swiss neutrality thing, he was actually bypassing that. He was actually bypassing all those embargoes by selling it to offshore companies, and then to other companies, and then finally it ended, at Iran and the other ones that weren't able. But that's like how he did that. And so for
The same narrative goes to you then, right? Selling the same stuff, but with a different narrative for the AI
Yeah.
Apocalypse faction. And
and
let's
he
hear
was,
it out. The AI Apocalypse faction. There are some members here that I know of. And by the way, as a mini challenge, sorry to interrupt, Aldo. Can we do also poll here for the let's do a mini challenge? Which faction has more members today? Those who want to write their factions. So Steve, for you, AI fundamentals. I will write through the chat so you could see the both factions. So let's do a mini game.
Okay, it seems like we will win the second challenge as well.
Thank you, Tuana. At least I have one of the students who support.
the fundament AI lists.
Okay, you have won a battle, dear fundamentalists, but the war continues. Battle for AI continues, and Aldo is here to provide the necessary resources to those who are willing. So Aldo, really, based on your last year, let's say, which verticals use synthetic data the most as you have witnessed with your startup? So like, again, just to wrap it up with some practical topics as well. Which verticals do you think will leverage it the more with generative AI, like in this year, 2024?
Oh man, finance. Finance, obviously, because they have huge resources and they have been they have been leveraging machine learning and deep learning and AI in general, if you want to have that term, for a long time. So they have like deep knowledge about that. For obviously for their predictions and for their trading and credit risk and fraud detection and all that. So finance, I would say finance is a huge vertical. But then healthcare as well, because of the privacy regulations that are coming harder and harder. In the US, you have HIPAA. Here in Europe, we have GDPR. Then some other here in Switzerland, we have like our national data protection regulations. We have the UK GDPR, which and in Europe we have like the European it's like a data space, healthcare data space, and there obviously personal health information is a huge topic. That's why Europe is really pushing, investing a lot, and specifically also with on privacy enhanced technologies, not just synthetic data but also others from the pets, and are really urging the healthcare, the life sciences space to embark and really to push it and to put it in their pipelines. So I would also say that healthcare is gaining ground. So today there was like from Frontier Economics, there was like a new study that quantified actually the value of data within healthcare in Europe and how much you could extract from it. And we're talking about billions and billions, and that's just about the data, just about the data market from there. So I would say that finance, healthcare is gaining a lot of ground. Yeah. So those are like the two biggest ones.
Thank you.
Finance, sure.
Thank you so much, Aldo. And one more real-time generated game for this call. Perhaps like, hello, Jennifer. I don't know, we have met before, but welcome to the event. Like the idea and the experience we're designing is whole festival is gamified. And even now, Aldo is here. Actually, he's a startup founder who builds synthetic data products and technologies. But here in the fictional land of Privacy Quest Village, which you can see behind me, he's here with a different backstory. So he's like a arms dealer, but he's dealing data, synthetic data, to the both factions, which again, AI Apocalypse and AI Fundamentalist. So have you picked yours yet?
I'm trending towards apocalypse, but it depends on. I'm an attorney, so the answer is it depends.
Perfect. Perhaps we could go with like the last minutes, like let's go like 5 minutes more if it's okay for everyone, and do a little mini quiz and ask the participants here whether they think synthetic data is anonymized or it's pseudonymized.
So we do it now, this chat.
Right now. So again, please write neither. Nice. He changed the game. And in GDPR, do you think pseudonymized, do you think synthetic data is anonymized? Should be regarded as anonymized or should be regarded as pseudonymized data? Please write your answers to the chat. So this question was also on the privacy quest we did with Aldo on synthetic data. Aldo, why do you think, let's start with you, neither? Yeah. Why is it neither? Neither.
It's neither because of the newest European Union AI Act, but before that, well, just based on GDPR, I would say that I would have said before that it really depends on the process and how the synthetic data has been generated and validated, and how the privacy has been incorporated into it. So just synthesizing data doesn't mean that it's purely anonymized, but it's also not pseudonymized, because pseudonymized, well, you have like this unique IDs between the original data and the pseudonymous data. You have these unique IDs because you need to be able to re-identify, to track it, and that's also why, according to GDPR, pseudonymous data, pseudonymized data is in scope of GDPR, and so it's not free to use, not free to share. Whereas anonymous data is out of scope, and so it's not counting as personal data anymore. So before the AI Act, synthetic data would have been, so it was like a still not well-known concept, but depending on the method and if you were like injecting differential privacy, which contains this privacy budget, and you were validating the privacy risks thoroughly, also according to Article 29, Working Party of GDPR, where anonymized data is, or anonymous data is actually defined with 3 criteria: the linkability, the singling out, and the inference. So those are like the three main things. And if that would be done thoroughly and accordingly, then synthetic data would have been seen as anonymous data in the data protection impact assessment. And so that would actually be like a very nice weapon for the apocalypse, because the faction of the apocalypse, well, you're thinking that AI is a doom. AI is bringing us to the end of the world, and specifically regarding the fundamental human rights of privacy and all that, right? And so synthetic data is actually a very cool weapon, because it's preserving privacy, but still you can work with it, and still the utility of it is there, and the privacy is preserved, and you can measure it and you can quantify it, and it's compliant with law. So that's the thing. But then the AI Act came along, and in the AI Act, in 2 big articles, it was the first time, or one of the very first times, that synthetic data has been legally defined, and it's being defined as independent, like so it's actually creating a new category. We're not talking anymore about personal data, pseudonymized data, anonymized data, So we're also talking about synthetic data. And it's, well, you're all lawyers, and so you know that it really matters how you write things down in articles as law, and the order and where you set the commas. So that's really, maybe for us laymen, we just look at it and yeah, it's just a comma, but in law, that changes worlds. And can really change worlds, right? So how we see it is that anonymized data is put in, comma, synthetic data, and then pseudonymized data, but then pseudonymized data is already like okay, it's not compliant with GDPR. Anyway, it's out of it's in scope, and so that's like the two worlds that have been shifted and that have been created newly. So that's why I said neither, because yeah, it's somehow a new category, Yes.
So from this perspective, you say that synthetic data is not between pseudonymized or anonymized data, but it's between pseudonymized data and personal data. Am I correct?
No, it's between pseudonymized and anonymized data.
Okay.
Yes. So that means that synthetic data is seen as out of scope. It's seen rather, and it's seen more anonymized than pseudonymized, out of scope, privacy preserving, and really the way forward. Also on how to declare AI systems under the AI Act with this risk-based approach of high risk, mid risk, low risk, and when to use anonymized data and synthetic data. So that's like the way forward.
I was the scope was GDPR, and you answered in the AI Act part. So I think it was, again, it was an amazing input you provided, and I agree with you with regard to the shift in how we really position this. But with scope in GDPR, I think it's all about the utility and like the how you preserve the privacy, so the quality of the synthetic data you generated, and like if you're using real data to create this, what happens to the real data? Because as long as that lives, it's only pseudonymized. Once you have ripped that out and destroyed that, all right, now you are talking about anonymization if it's like the utility metrics we have mentioned in the privacy quest. So that's again on the GDPR part, but thank you for putting changing the game, let's call it, rather than cheating.
Yeah, but it's still I mean, also on the privacy side, on the privacy risk assessment, it's still it's still not global, in a sense that at the end, every company or every lawyer that is like a data owner that needs to be doing the data protection impact assessment, every data owner is declaring on itself what the synthetic data, or if the synthetic data is anonymized or not, or if some kind of data that they manipulated, that transformed, is pseudonymized or anonymized. So every data owner needs to do this DPIA on their own and following the chain, right? Of well, was there consent, and was there legal consent, and what was the chain to coming to this decision, right? But then for synthetic data, yes, you have metrics, utility, fidelity, and privacy metrics, but there's no one out there yet that tells you, okay, when is the privacy risk it is under a certain benchmark or above a certain benchmark, so that you can actually say, okay, the synthetic data is really safe, and so it's really privacy preserving, and it's compliant, and we can just define it as that in our DPIA. So this standard somehow is still missing on a global level. There are some approaches that come from the differential privacy world. Yeah, Steve, you were mentioning the budget, right? The privacy budget. that you have at the beginning, and then the more you train, the more you interact with the data, the more budget you're giving away, so that at a certain point, well, that's the mathematical trade-off, right, between utility and privacy. So the more privacy you want, well, the less utility you're going to have with the synthetic data or with the differentially private data that it transformed. So there's some initiatives there from the National Institute of Standards and Technologies from Washington that are pushing differential privacy on one side. And then there are also other initiatives, for example, the IEEE, where I'm engaged in. We're actually working and delivering now a white paper, actually on the privacy risk assessment of synthetic data and how to validate it. So what's actually privacy preserving synthetic data? What's differentially private synthetic data? What are the use cases? What are the benefits? And at the end, it's like, okay, how are we validating this thing? Because again, it's new for everyone, right? And it's still open field of research, and it's very fascinating. So there are some initiatives that are on parallel and on a global scale, and so I'm really looking forward that synthetic data is going to be a huge weapon for the apocalypse, because it really sheds like, or it gives some light at the end of the tunnel, because it's not necessarily an apocalypse in AI if we really use privacy enhanced technologies. And it's not just me saying it, it's the White House, you see it with the bills that came out, with the privacy enhanced technologies, the whole privacy thing coming from the White House, then coming down to all the departments. So we're seeing right now Department of Homeland Security is opening up a call on synthetic data. There are other departments in the US that are really pushing to embark on privacy enhanced technologies. There's the FCA, Financial Conduct Authority in the UK. There's the Information Commissioner Officer. So that's like the European Data Protection Board somehow from the UK, that are saying, hey, we need to, or the companies and organizations around the world need to embark on privacy enhanced technologies, because otherwise, potentially the apocalypse could come. Not the apocalypse of AGI or AI taking over all the stuff and taking over the clusters and running it on its own, but really the apocalypse of privacy, of our privacy, of the fundamental human rights. That would be some steps before the AGI, like the technological apocalypse kicks in. So yeah, synthetic data and privacy enhanced technologies as such are a really great weapon for the apocalypse.
And we are lucky on this summit at Privacy Quest Village to host a renowned galactic arms dealer like you, who synthetic data. So both factions have looked at the goods, and they will decide, and they will choose their weapons of destruction. What are you working on IEEE as like vice chair?
We're now in phase 1, delivering a white paper, which is going to come out soon, spread out to the world. And then it's like a call for input on a global scale from all divisions, legal, technological, public and private organizational, really from all divisions and from all angles to get some feedback. It's already a multidisciplinary team, 70 people that are working on this. And then we want to gather as much feedback as possible, so that we can then embark on phase 2, which is then really drilling down and going in depth on the technological standard. And then it's getting the IEEE phase 2, so coming up with a standard that is then like a norm, like a ISO, like a ISO norm. And then we're gonna again sit together for maybe it's around 2 to 3 years, I would say. It's around 2 to 3 years, really depending on also on the technological advancements, because we're also dependent on that. And as we've seen in the last 12 months, what you thought was state of the art today, the next day was already by an order of magnitude behind the state of art, right? So it's really going quickly, and so it also depends on how the stuff is going to evolve technologically, legally, AI Act, and other legislations around the world. So it really depends. You're on mute.
To learn more about it, should we just like type IEEE synthetic data standard and it will come up?
IEEE synthetic data, and then you'll see it. Then you'll see it immediately.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Aldo, for everything and sparing your time.
Man.
Thank you, everyone.
I don't have any at this time. I'm just going to have to dig into it.
I've been putting in like 16 hours per day for the last 2 weeks to make this festival happen. And it really means a lot, you being here, and Yağız, Hansa, Tuana, Berk, like these people are, again, organization committee who's helping me out. And really thank you guys to making this happen. And this year, let's have this tiny experience, and next year, let's go and make it bigger and better. So that's the initial idea. So yeah, thank you for sparing your times, everyone, and have a
Awesome.
great day.
You too.
Cheers, Aldo.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.